You know, you were talking about how wonderfully quickly the engineers were able to get it. If you think about it, the 3 or 4 years of constant Beatle recording probably gave them the ability to, because think about it, Abbey Road wasn't much of a quote unquote rock studio back in the day. So their experience came from the constant recording with the Beatles, I would think.
I'm sure it did, and particularly with Jeff Emmerich, because he worked with them a lot. And I'm only going by what I've read, but I think they were quite demanding. You know, they would ask for sounds. You know, I think Lennon once said, "I want my vocal to sound like the man in the moon," and then left the studio for them to work out what they were going to do with that. You know, there were moments like that, and usually those requests went to Jeff Emmerich, and he wrote a wonderful book. It's called Here, There, and Everywhere.
Yeah, fabulous.
And it's a fantastic book. And one of the things that really made me smile was that he said that the engineers at Abbey Road, none of them wanted to work with the Beatles. Because, you see, I thought it would be exactly the opposite, but they worked right through the night, and then the Beatles would go home and go to bed. But the engineers at Abbey Road they had to start work again at 10 o'clock, and they'd been up all night. So they would hide. They would just try and get away when people were being shown what sessions they were going to do. They would do anything to get out of doing a Beatles session, not because they didn't like the Beatles or they didn't like the Beatles music, but because they couldn't take the hours. But Jeff Emmerich managed to do it, and he survived, and you know, until recently, sadly. We were actually with him at the Greek Theatre in Los Angeles, trying, you know, 2 or 3 years ago. It was about a week before he died, and the last word he was saying over and over again, "We must work together again. We must work together again." And as he left, he said, "I'm not just being polite. I really want us to work together again." And it was you know, it would have been a wonderful idea, I think, but we never got the opportunity because he died about a week later. It was very, very sad. But I mean, it just, especially when you're in the autumn of your career, as I certainly am, quickly approaching the winter of my career, you've got to get on with things. You know, you've got to do things because, you know, you don't know what the future holds. You really don't. Anyway, we should move on. I'm getting.
Well, listen, with climate change, you may be in the summer of your career or the spring of your career. We don't know that. But, you know,
I think it's a leap year. I'm not sure.